Hi, in this video we'll be going into depth with data locations. Data locations are a very core part of this entire system, and basically everything revolves around them. The simplest understanding is that a data location is a pointer to some location where data lives. We have some different kinds. For example, we have local files and local folders. So I'm going to add this folder, just called docs, and we can give it a label. We can call it my docs. And here you can see that it says this is a local one, and we can see the path when hovering. But most researchers do not work on local files because these experiments require a lot of computing power, so they're often done on this high power computer cluster. That means that they have to work on a remote machine, a completely different machine than the one they're at. So how can we do this? Well, we're going to add a SSH source. SSH is a way to connect to remote machines. Here we were inspired by the PuTTY. We could see the DTU researchers utilize that software. You can have a private key, or you can even have a password. So now I'm going to connect to this high power computer cluster. I can see that my single file is ready. So I'm going to add that, and I'm going to just keep the label as it is. But sometimes they don't live as files. Perhaps they live in a repository somewhere, for example, GitHub. So let's add a Git source, and we can say GitLab, GitHub. Let's just take GitHub. And here I've taken this sample repository, and I've taken the latest commit. I'm just going to take the entire link and connect, and just have this as label. Now we have a Git repository connected. But these researchers, they often use some kind of cloud system for files. In this case, they use OneDrive, but there's a lot of different ones. But we added OneDrive as a connection, and here we have this sample file in OneDrive. I'm just going to take the entire link and connect and just save. So these are the 4 data locations one usually manually connects to, but there is a 5th one, and it's very important. It's called the bucket or blob, but it's not something you connect to. The reason why is that it's entirely managed by traceback. So a bucket is basically some cloud location that supports very, very large files, or even completely small ones. They only transfer the bytes, and they are not human readable when you open the bucket. Even navigating the bucket can be almost completely impossible, because it just consists of these unreadable keys. But when you have this local folder and you want to share it with somebody else, you have to have it on some kind of cloud. This is what the system does. It automatically converts some of these data locations to appropriate cloud locations when you save this experiment. This will be further explained in another video. So let's take a scenario. We have these researchers who are often trying to make these version control folders stay not on the SSH machine or local machine, but perhaps Git. That is why you can edit these connections. For example, saying this is no longer on GitHub, this is on GitLab, or something like that. That means that if they were to successfully move some part of the program towards some kind of other service, our system supports that. Let's take another interesting scenario. Often these runs take a long time, perhaps 2 days to complete, but we know that some of these researchers have made scripts that already determine where the output should be. So let's imagine that it's this empty folder where nothing exists. So I'm going to add this folder. And we can see it's right here, and there's nothing. I can't expand it or anything. So let's just imagine that it's 2 days later and I'm opening the software. But this time the run has finished. So there is this output file. Let's go to the pipeline, and now we can see it has updated. So this example downloads can now be expanded and the output file exists. That is to illustrate the key part that a data location is a location. It's not the content at the time that you're selecting it. This also makes sense that if you're developing this model on your local computer, you want to make changes to it, and the system should of course understand that these changes have been made and should be saved. So the important action happens when you press the save. It will take the snapshot of exactly what has been clicked and what is in the folder at the current location, making it completely shareable, savable, browsable, and all those things that we need for the upcoming videos.